Here with another video, and today we're going to be going into the 2020 presidential election, and specifically how this riot might actually impact Donald Trump's campaign in a positive manner. So a lot of people have been saying that short term Biden has extremely high chances of winning this election, and the reality is yes, short term. If the elections were today, Joe Biden will be the winner. Donald Trump will lose by a huge margin. And at the end of the day, the elections are not today. They're in November. And honestly, these riots and the coronavirus things, the true impacts will be felt in around 1 or 2 months, which we're going to be seeing heavy impacts. Now, remember that these campaigns are very problematic, and we saw this in 2016. How many breaking news were there in 2016 with different crazy things regarding each candidate or attacks for crazy world events? And there were tons. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if all that was related to the 2016 presidential race. And we're seeing the same thing in 2020. This year has been absolutely crazy. And listen up, I wouldn't be surprised if all of this is relating to the 2020 presidential election. The balance of power in America is becoming more and more divided. Parties are not working together anymore. They're trying to go against each other to kind of destroy the country, I guess, instead of working together to make a better nation. So I'm going to start making my prediction, and I'm going to tell you where exactly I think Donald Trump will be able to make up some voters from the loss or the higher turnout of African American voters in some states. So our safe states will always be the same regardless, because we have these states that are always pretty safe. And honestly, there's no way that Democrats will lose any of these states. And these seats will go by a nice margin. Now, big absences. Well, the state of Nevada, Colorado, and Virginia, and at this point even Minnesota, they've been trending a lot more Democratic. Now, that doesn't mean that Democrats have an easier chance of winning there, because truly these protests will affect Democrats in those states. And here's why. The suburban voters are going to get mad with whoever was related to this. And I think it's pretty safe to say that some of these organizations that are invoking the protest, not the regular protests, but the rioting and the violent protest, are super far left organizations. Well, and also you have those the extreme right. Those two groups are going into and going against each other to kind of create chaos in these places. But at the end of the day, you've seen more of a better response in Republican cities such as Miami or in New Jersey than some other places were controlled by Democrats. But again, that doesn't matter. But I think suburban voters they will signify with Donald Trump a lot more than with the Democrat Joe Biden when it comes to these riots and protests and things like that. So for that reason, these states are not filled in yet. Now, for Donald Trump's likely states like Georgia, Texas, Iowa, and Ohio. Honestly, those states have been likely for a long time. Short term, they're probably leaning towards Joe Biden right now. But in the long term, I think many of the voters will stay home. Look, remember also that some of this depends on turnout. Democrats have a huge voting base. And they have a huge voter pool because they have a lot more registered Democrats around the country. Now, here's becomes the issue. Democrats usually have lower percentage of their party membership go out and vote. So that's where it evens out the playing field, and that's what makes the elections closer. So we see that these states will go to Donald Trump by likely margins. Another district I think will go to Donald Trump by a likely margin, more possibly like 5%, is the state of Maine's 2nd congressional district. The reason being is that, look, these areas have not been impacted that much by the protests. So at the end of the day, Donald Trump was probably going to win there by around the same margin, so still, it might turn off a couple 2% or something like that, but I still think it will be pretty likely and solid for Donald Trump. And I forgot to fill in one state for the Republican Party. Now, looking forward to where can the Democrats pick this up? Well, there's truly only one likely Democratic state at this point. It's the state of New Hampshire. State of New Hampshire hasn't felt any of the big protests and things like that because those usually happen in more populated states and in bigger cities. Remember, state of New Hampshire is mostly small to big towns. There's one big city, but that's it, and it's not even that big. It's a very small city. So at the end of the day, New Hampshire probably won't change that much. But when we come and look at states like Virginia, North Nevada, Colorado, Arizona, the Rust Belt, we're going to feel a lot of big impacts on the electoral count. So looking at the suburbs, where are the big suburbs? Honestly, it's Nevada, Colorado, Virginia, Arizona, parts of Florida, kind of all the swing states have very big suburb areas. And honestly, there will be an impact. So looking at our Republican lean states, I think at this point states like Arizona, states like North Carolina, and Florida will be in the lean column for Donald Trump only if the suburban voters actually turn on the Democratic Party for reasons A, B, or Z. Now, I think it's very important to say these will be in around 1 to 2% margins. They'll still be close, but at the end of the day, we'll go to the Republican Party. So now we have the Rust Belt. This is going to be an interesting place because I think states like Michigan will definitely go to Joe Biden. But when it comes to areas like Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Pennsylvania, I think a lot of the Republican base and then some Democratic voters who are like on the middle, they will want to vote for someone like Donald Trump. And I think that would go by a tilt margin to Donald Trump. Now, Democrats would have to win all these other states to win the election. But I don't think that will happen. So let's just go and fill in the rest of the states because realistically, the rest of the states are going to be in tilt margins. The state of Wisconsin, at this point, it's looking like it's going to go narrowly to Donald Trump, and here's why. Remember that the state of Wisconsin is very rural in some areas, and in down the coast near Michigan, those areas are extremely, extremely Democratic and suburban. So those areas that are suburban are going to turn some voters away from the Democratic Party. And honestly, I think it could go even by a lean margin, but I think at this point, let's just keep it at tilt. Pennsylvania will go to the Democrats, and honestly, I think they'll win there by a couple points, and by maybe 0.1% or 0.5%. So look, the Rust Belt is a weird area. These two states are a little bit more suburban than these two states. These two states are very big city, and rural. These states are more like city, suburbs, a little bit more suburbs, and then rural. Sorry, mind me. And yeah, we're gonna be seeing those states probably going to the Republican Party, and these two states, since are more urban, going to the Democratic Party. State of Virginia, I think the Democrats could say goodbye to that if Donald Trump can resonate with the voters and say, all the destruction that's been happening in the nearby areas in your big cities is because of the Democrats. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Donald Trump and his campaign could pull off a ad campaign like that and blaming all these riots and all these things on the Democratic Party, which at the end has a big message on some people who cannot even analyze some of the things deeply enough to say, well, this is true facts, this is real facts, this is not true, this is true. So that might actually play around with people, and at the end of the day, right now the political system in the United States is just playing around with people's heads. When it comes to the 2nd Congressional District in Nebraska, there's going to be an impact, certainly, but at the end of the day, I think it's going to go in a tilt margin to Donald Trump. Narrowly going to Donald Trump. And honestly, the reason this is happening because simply that area has a lot of rural areas, and honestly, people that were a little turned off by the protests and things like that, they will have to have good turnout to win that place again. Now, you guys might be asking yourself, compare this map to how Obama won in 2008 and 2012. The reason he won because he was an inspirational African-American candidate. He could get out the African-American vote super high. He could get out the suburbs, all these areas, and that actually made him win by landslide margins. When it comes to Nevada and Colorado, I think the state of Nevada is more likely to go to Donald Trump currently than the state of Colorado. And I think the state of Nevada will narrowly go to Donald Trump because, first of all, a lot of people moved out of the state already because of the job losses in the Strip in the strip. And also remember, there's a lot of suburban voters. Remember, the people that work in the urban areas, and there's a bunch of suburbs here, and then a bunch of suburbs up near like the Northern California area. So for that reason, I think narrowly it's gonna go to Joe Biden. But when it comes to the state of Colorado, I think also it can narrowly go to Donald Trump. My bad. It's Donald Trump in the state of Nevada. It could go to Donald Trump narrowly. Here's why. The state of Colorado is a very suburban area. You have big cities in Denver and maybe Boulder, where the university is. But other than that, it's suburbs and rural areas. Donald Trump, if he can get out those suburbs, and I'm sure he can, and a lot of the suburban voters are getting mad because they're destroying all of this stuff and things like that. And honestly, I think suburban voters were more likely to blame the Democrats than the Republican for riots and things like that. Which at the end of the day, I don't condemn any of those two things. I don't say the riots are truly Democratic or truly Republican, but the way people are thinking, it's Democratic. The riots are Democratic. It's something the Democrats did. So for that reason, I think state of Colorado, with a lot of its suburbs and things like that, may flip to Donald Trump. Now, this is not my real prediction. My real prediction, go check it out. I posted it yesterday. I think it will be on the end tab. So if you want to look at it, you can click on it. But yeah, currently speaking, long term, Donald Trump has a good chance of winning the presidency. Short term, his chances are horrible. But I think if he does win the presidency, and it's directly affected by suburbans switching to him after these protests, it would be 300 electoral votes for Donald Trump and Michael Pence, and 230 electoral votes for Joe Biden and his VP choice. Guys, I want to thank all of you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please tell me down below in the comments what you think about it, and make sure to like and subscribe. When we reach 250 subscribers, we will be doing a giveaway. I'm still thinking of what I'm going to give away. It's probably going to be something really cool, and yeah. So, hope you enjoyed the video, and bye.